Continuing coverage now of last night's second Republican debate. It was quite a show, right? With the candidates taking verbal jabs at one another. But in some ways, their body language, just as important. All right, so watch this clip.
I will take care of women. I respect women. I will take care of women.
All right, so there you see Jeb Bush waving his hand, shaking his head, turning away, tapping the podium, rocking back and forth, listening to Donald Trump. All-powerful nonverbals. So what does this say about his future style if he happens to win the top job? Joining me now, the expert, Tonya Reiman, the body language expert. Tonya, great to have you back.
Thank you.
All right, so let's talk about that one in general.
Right.
When you're pushing away your hand and rocking back and forth, what does it mean?
You're pulling away from the conversation, but what was more significant is Donald Trump is all over the place like this, and then Jeb Bush starts to move around as well, and it's that release of tension. It's as if he needs to get that out because he's getting more and more frustrated, and as the frustration escalates, the hand movements become bigger.
All right, let's look at this example. This is Donald Trump telling Jeb Bush that he doesn't get his vote, and look at what Jeb Bush does.
He's weak on immigration, by the way, in favor of Common Core, which is also a disaster, but weak on immigration, he doesn't get my vote.
All right, so now you can see right at the end he sticks his tongue out. Yeah, he also had a bit of a nervous laugh there.
Right. Actually, it wasn't. This is what happened. So he did the fig leaf position. Remember, we talked about that at the last debate, right, where he covers himself up when Trump first starts speaking. Then he laughs, but it's not to cover up nervousness, it's more to cover up anger. When we become angry, the first thing we do is laugh to make sure that people don't realize that we're becoming angry. And then the third thing is the tongue thrust that you pointed out, and that's kind of like, I'm disgusted. And if you think about it, it's like if you try to feed a baby something they're not going to like, what do? They stick their tongue out, and that's exactly what he did.
Very interesting. All right, now, here's the video. This is Carly Fiorina showing anger, I guess, on her face when Trump was talking about her face. It's just video.
Yes, so watch, you'll see her look down, and then you can actually see, if you look underneath her lower lip, watch how it clenches up, and everything kind of draws down. See that look of disgust, contempt, anger? There was no hiding that.
And that was when he went back and said to her, actually, I think your face is beautiful.
Oh, yes, you're beautiful, even though I said that.
Okay. All right. Now, this one is also just video. Now, pay close attention because this is Dr. Ben Carson consistently closing his eyes when he speaks. Right. What does that mean?
You know, what happens is so much of our input is visual that sometimes we need to close out everything else to get rid of the distractions in order to really think about what we want to say, to formulate our sentences, our thoughts a little bit better. He tends to do this a lot, so he's getting too much sensory input, closes down the eyes, he's able to formulate his thoughts a little bit better and can then come out with the sentence. He's also very delicate, so, and this is, of course, I'm sure because he's a surgeon, he works with his hands all the time, so everything about him is a little bit more precise, and this is part of it, closing down the eyes to make sure he's saying exactly what he wants to say.
Interesting. Okay, now, this is Chris Christie and Carly Fiorina. Watch this.
And stop playing the issue in this election. Carly, listen, you can interrupt everybody else on the stage, you can't interrupt me, okay? The fact is that we don't want to hear about your careers, back and forth and volleying back and forth about who did well and who did poorly. You're both successful people. Congratulations.
Yes.
Okay, so this was, Chris Christie really surprised me, and this was also something we had discussed. Who would become more polished? Who would become a better personality, easier to get along with, so to speak? Chris Christie really handled himself well during this debate. He became more likable, nicer, and then this point comes up, and you realize right back to where he is. And he's trying to make his point, and it was a valid point, but it just made me laugh that this was the one time that he kind of became the old Chris Christie.
Okay, so you saw more of a bullying move. You could see Carly Fiorina actually react to that right away.
Pulls back automatically, and he leans forward, and he does this downward palm gesture, which is a very alpha power movement. It's a dominant gesture. So it's intimidating, even from 2 podiums away. So it was interesting.
All right, so even though some people just listening to the words think that Carly Fiorina won, you also felt she won on body language.
Her nonverbals were strong. She showed irritation, she showed agitation, she was upset at certain points, but she was really concise, she spoke well, and her hand gestures were appropriate. In the beginning, she wasn't gesturing enough. You do need to have some gestures, and she didn't do enough of them. But as it went on, I think she became stronger and stronger.
Tonya, as always, thank you.
Thank you.